Everybody, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a great day, great night, wherever you are watching or listening in from. Wanted to pop in this evening for another episode of Crypto Happy Hour. It's been a little bit of time since our last one, so wanted to hang out with you guys for a little bit tonight. Pop in. There is not a crazy amount of news happening, but definitely a few different topics that we could touch on and talk a little bit about how everything is moving forward. What's up, Tom Hardy, the fake Tom Hardy? Goodbye, goodbye to you too. What's up, Alex? What's up, expat Ron? Old school gamer Rick. Good to see you as always. Hope you guys are having a good one. Just getting let's get this bad boy all set up. If you guys are drinking anything interesting tonight, got myself Sip of Sunshine IPA. It's I think an IPA out of Connecticut. Had it one time this summer. Haven't had it since, but stopped at the grocery store downstairs to get that. So yeah. Expat Ron, some good questions here. Miguel Herrera, yes or no, Bobby going live means BTC is going to fall. We'll pop over to the Bitcoin chart and see. It's been chilling right around $4,000 basically all day, so hopefully it doesn't go anywhere. Ethereum sitting at about 150. The big mover of the week, which we can definitely touch on, is Tron. Justin Sun been whipping that bitch up into a storm, so TRX has been doing quite well. But yeah, Expat Ron, we can talk about WBTC and the rollout that's going on over there, and a few other questions. So getting everybody situated. What's up, Professor Wally? Thank you very much for that super chat, man. Really do appreciate that. I had 2 beers that somehow cost $10 at the freaking hipster grocery store below my place. So thank you very much for reimbursing me for the price of beer. It is very, very much appreciated. 8% alcohol. I can dig that. I like that. So let's take a look at some of the questions here. Start start going over some things and chatting on that. First thing I would say, so seeing some of these questions here, an old school gamer Rick, always good to see you, man. Some thoughts about the Bitcoin ETF. So that was the one thing that came out recently, was Japan actually considering a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency ETF. I do not think that in the US, at least, I am not familiar, to be pretty blunt with you. I'm not super familiar with Japanese regulations. I do know crypto is quite popular in Japan, as well as South Korea and a couple other places in Asia. But I do not know all that much about the kind of regulatory environment over there. I do not believe that we will see an ETF or a Bitcoin ETF anytime soon. And this is somewhat unrelated, but the government shutdown, I also don't know how that might affect certain things. I know there have been some people saying SEC is working at full speed. Granted, this is not the SEC, but I just not exactly sure how the government shutdown might fully affect that, lines of communication, and some of the deadlines there that we might see as well. You doing a sponsored review of Tron now? Absolutely not. Taking a look here. And so one of the questions, and this is a good one from, what do we have? Expat Ron. One thing, and I'll pull this up here, is WBTC. So this is a somewhat interesting concept, and it might be new to some folks around, but this is an initiative that's being led by BitGo, Kyber, and Republic Protocol. Republic Protocol is REN, Kyber is Kyber Swap, decentralized exchange, and BitGo is a crypto custodian in this space. There are also a number of other people that are kind of working on this initiative at AirSwap. We're part of there's a DAO, you can see here, a decentralized autonomous organization. AirSwap, you can see here, MakerDAO, who runs DAI, Dharma, IDEX, one of the most popular by volume, DEXs, Compound, DDEX, essentially a lot of decentralized exchange and people kind of participating in the Ethereum landscape. But this is fairly interesting because what it is essentially doing, for those who might not be aware, this is launching on January 14th. And what it's going to allow people to do is to wrap, quote unquote, wrap Bitcoin into an ERC20 token. And there have been some like kind of really random shitty. There was like eBTC a while ago, I think. That was an Ethereum based token that literally had nothing to do with Bitcoin. But at one point in time, I think pumped up quite a bit. But so what this is going to allow you to do, or what this is going to allow people to do, is to access the kind of decentralized world of Ethereum financed with Bitcoin by wrapping Bitcoin into what there will be in the future a WBTC token. And each WBTC token will actually be backed by a verified Bitcoin that's essentially held by a custodian. In this case, it's most likely going to be BitGo. You're going to have to, some people, if you are going to flip your Bitcoin into WBTC, you would have to KYC and have a kind of authorized custodian. Like I said, in this case, BitGo. Most people, I would suspect, are not going to actually be doing that. But what this might allow, what this might happen, or how I think this is more likely going to play out, is there's going to be a larger organization. There might be market makers or exchanges. And what they'll do now is, let's say they have, $1 million or $500,000 in Bitcoin. They can turn that $500,000, a decentralized exchange, an exchange, whoever it might be, they can turn $500,000 of that into Bitcoin, or from Bitcoin into wrap Bitcoin or into WBTC. They would be the ones that would KYC that. But then once it's onto a decentralized exchange or just in the Ethereum network, the interesting part about that is now you have Bitcoin pairs against a lot of these ERC20 tokens in a decentralized manner versus on Binance or somewhere else. So that's it. It should be an interesting way, and you'll start, I believe, in my opinion, and this is supposed to be launching on January 14th, from my knowledge and our participation within the DAO at AirSwap. But I think what most likely you're going to see is just the start of WBTC to Ethereum, as well as WBTC to DAI and some of these other types of ERC20 tokens, perhaps. Mostly, in my opinion, it'll simply be a speculative instrument and a way for there to be more liquidity, essentially a little bit more liquidity in the ecosystem. So it should be interesting to watch pan out. I'm not sure, is anybody actually, I'm not saying in this case that any of you might actually KYC with BitGo and give them your Bitcoin to get WBTC back. But if you didn't have to KYC and there was an opportunity to trade WBTC, this wrap Bitcoin, that one WBTC equals a real BTC, would you trade that potentially on a decentralized exchange? If so, would love to hear that in the comments from you as well. Nema, how's it going? Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate the super chat, as I do to everybody. And Old School Gamer Rick, thanks a lot as well, man. And Michael W, thank you very much too. Really, really do appreciate it. So, Professor Wally, yeah, WBTC would allow smart contracts essentially backed by Bitcoin in some cases. In some cases, I think that is more of a speculative thing. It kind of ties the value of Bitcoin into the Ethereum ecosystem, and also might be advantageous to the value of Bitcoin if you're kind of taking some of that off the market a little bit. And then I see here somebody, still wouldn't use it. What's the point? Yeah, I mean, I think it's dependent upon different ways in which you might want to use the ecosystem or just anything like that. I wouldn't touch that WBTC dog shit with a 12-foot dick. Well, I did ask. So, and I'll pop over here too. We got about 200 people on now. So, like I said before, we've had Bitcoin pretty much for the past day or so sitting in this fairly tight $4,000 range. Really plus or minus about $50. So knowing me, price is probably gonna fall off a cliff at some point in time as of recording this. Ethereum has been in a similar boat as well. Really sitting around $149, $150 basically for the majority of the day. Again, the one big mover in the past month or so, really if we pull up 3 months, has been Tron. Shout out to Justin's son. I own no Tron. I wish I did. That would have been a smart move. But Tron is up against Bitcoin about 140%. And that is a hell of a move. I mostly think Tron is horseshit. They acquired Tron, or Justin Sun acquired BitTorrent. There's now a BitTorrent token. There's a bunch of different kind of advantages for somebody that has Tron to participate in the, shout out Tron dogs. But there's a bunch of different advantages that will at some point in time come from BitTorrent, and they're having a token sale there. You gotta respect the move from Justin Sun. Dude can pump like no other on the planet. The one thing I would say is a lot of this is in anticipation of their Nitron, get it? Nitron. A lot of it is in anticipation of that. One thing I would say to that, as we saw with Ripple back in, or XRP, XRP back in, I think it was September with the Swell conference, XRP ran up pretty hard, pretty good into Swell, and got a lot of people excited. Something incredible is going to happen at Swell, but at that point in time, Ripple has since sold off pretty substantially. A lot of times in the crypto landscape, it's buying up into the conference and then ditching a few days beforehand. So if you are a big Tron dog holder, if you love Tron, you're a big fan of it, fantastic. That's good for you. I am personally not, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tron fall, not maybe off a cliff, but hey, there's a lot of room for it to fall after the conference that they put forward. So that's my opinion. Crypto Tony drinking Hop Valley's Alpha Centauri IPA. Yeah, and anybody who joined late, I got Sip of Sunshine IPA. It's an 8% from somewhere in Connecticut, good old Connecticut. Two Roads Brewing Company. It's a pretty good IPA. I'm not a huge IPA guy, but it's for an IPA, it's a pretty easy drink, and it's also 8%. So I like getting a little bit of a buzz in me. T Swindle, Bitcoin Incognito. I have no idea what that is. I probably will not take a second out of my time to figure out what Bitcoin Incognito is. If it is similar to Bitcoin Private, if it is similar to Bitcoin Satoshi's eyeballs or Bitcoin Satoshi's balls, whatever it might be, I don't really care. I think it's probably full of shit. So who knows? IPAs will put some hair on my face. I think I got enough hair on my face at this point in time. The bear market beard is coming in halfway nicely. So I don't know if I have to. I don't know if I have to worry about too much of that. Minus my lack of mustache in the middle. But what are you gonna do? T Swindle. Wow. Oh, you really thought I was gonna say Bitcoin Incognito is the best thing ever? I'm shocked. I'm a big fan. Okay, I take it back. I'm all in on Bitcoin Incognito. I think it has the best tech in the industry. I think it is the next true privacy coin after Verge. Hopefully, Bitcoin Incognito follows Verge's footsteps with a partnership with Pornhub or YouPorn or somewhere like that. So that would be pretty solid. I would like that. Everybody knows after that happened with Verge, Verge was all good to go. So hopefully, we're good. Don't you think we're going to revisit $1,000 to $3,200 Bitcoin? I mean, that's kind of a big range. $1,000 Bitcoin and $3,200. That's a pretty fat range. I mean, I have no idea. I think for the most part, like, there has been a fairly significant shakeout. I think I've seen some people recently saying we haven't seen capitulation yet. I think we have seen a vast amount of capitulation. I do think there has been obviously a pretty significant shakeout across the industry. And most people, I would venture to say the vast majority of people who are in right now are sticking it out for the near to medium term future. I think most people, especially those that got in late 2017, like, at this point in time, I think that the general thought process for a lot of people that got into like late 2017, if you're still around here, and I'm sure some of you are watching right now, but it's like, oh shit, I lost 60-70%. Can't get that much worse, can it? And yeah, obviously it can. Now, if it goes down 80%, that's another 50% from 60%, whatever it might be. It could go down quite a bit. It could go down quite a bit more, but I do think that the vast majority of the shakeout has already taken place. Is there potential impetus for $3,200 Bitcoin, for $1,000 Bitcoin? Maybe, if there was like some widespread government crackdown or something like that. But I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen. I think that might... I am not as worried. Personally, I'm not as worried about Bitcoin as I would be about Ethereum in general, and just generally utility tokens with some of the different like crackdowns and things like that could happen there. I think Bitcoin's on solid regulatory footing. So this is one thing that swindle, I'm just joking, bro. I love you. But no, for real, I wouldn't touch Bitcoin incognito with a 10-foot pole. But thanks for watching for a year. Cheers. I do appreciate it. I am a sarcastic asshole, though, so sometimes you're going to get that. This is something that I've seen too. And Bobby, we still need full-on capitulation. Still too many crappy scam coins, brah. And yes, there are a lot of crappy scam coins. There are a lot of crappy... there's a lot of crap across the board. With that said, the market is not rational. The crypto market is not rational. The crypto market is not rational, and then the crypto market isn't rational. I saw a lot of people, there were some tweets and some kind of thought process going around yesterday. There were some tweets and things going around yesterday, essentially, that, oh, wow, Ethereum Classic got 51% attacked. Why is it not at zero? We're still not at this. The bear market isn't even here yet. We're not at zero. And it's like, yes and no. Again, Dentacoin right now is worth $60 million, technically, by market cap. There is a lot of things that, number one, make market cap worthless and make kind of the valuations worthless across the board. But when you look at a lot of these are all speculative assets, and people are really just kind of speculating across the board and thinking like, yes, it would be quite rational for Ethereum Classic ETC to have gotten 51% attacked, which is disproving in many respects the security of that network. And why would you store value or compute on a network that could be so easily 51% attacked? That's obviously a problem, right? That should impact the value quite a bit. Well, I mean, when that happened, what happened? We went down about 7-8%. And where is ETC right now? ETC is still a $534 million market cap cryptocurrency. So, I mean, that's just kind of my point in general there, is that, people thinking, oh, all these scam coins are going to die. It's going to take a long time for a lot of these cryptocurrencies, whether they're scams or they're just projects that haven't gotten adoption or they're just overvalued, whatever it might be. It's proof of work. Number one, I think, and this was a good question. We can actually bring this up now. Let's see, Tushar Jane. Here we go. So these were some good questions. Let's pull it up here. So, how do blockchains die? How do cryptocurrency projects die? Love to hear your thoughts on this. Please let me know in the comments. Jesus, Morel. There's children in the chat, buddy. There's children in the chat. But this is a good question. How do blockchains die? Is it, number one, repeated deep block reorgs, such as we saw with Ethereum Classic? Is it developers leaving? Is it exchanges delisting them? Or is it that blockchains are immortal? And with that, I personally think that one of the bigger ways, it's a tough question to ask, because developers leaving, I don't think. There are a lot of, Dogecoin is still a rather valuable cryptocurrency, and for a while, I think the kind of development around Doge has picked up a tiny bit recently, but for a while there was like no activity that was happening on Doge for a really long time. And still, Dogecoin is a $260 million market cap. I love Dogecoin. Got me into cryptocurrency. Is it worth $260 million? Probably not a chance in hell. But that developer's leaving for quite some time. The main developers, Jackson Palmer, didn't do anything for against Dogecoin. Is it repeated deep block reorgs? Verge was 51% attacked. ETC was just 51% attacked. A number of cryptocurrencies have been 51% attacked. It is not necessarily repeated yet. Some have been repeated, but they're still alive, the ones that have been. Exchange delistings is interesting, though, because when you think about it, you have miners that need to offload their coins somewhere. And then also these cryptocurrencies primarily are just speculative assets. So if you take away the ability to speculate on them, then you have an issue with that. Now, exchanges delisting is also not the easiest thing to think about in many respects, because though, like let's say in this example, Ethereum Classic. Now people are talking about Ethereum Classic is going to get delisted from Coinbase. They're speculating that. That's not a fact, but people are speculating that Ethereum Classic might be delisted from Coinbase. Well, okay, then ETC gets delisted from Coinbase. Well, there was a certain amount of volume on that. And maybe that's some type of whatever, a stand that Coinbase is making. They're trying to save some reputation because they listed it. Who knows? Whatever they try to do. And there's more exchanges that delist, There is always going to be most likely one exchange, or there's going to be a place where you're able to dump your cryptocurrency, sell it wherever you want to do. So that is something that I think, when one exchange delists, there's probably going to be an opportunity for another exchange, unless it's a token that was just like come out as illegal or a scam or something like that. Like, nobody really wants to have BitConnect on their exchange. BitConnect is now obviously worthless as well, but like, you don't want to fucking buy BitConnect, or exchange doesn't want to have BitConnect. But let's just say ETC gets delisted from Coinbase for reasons that they don't want to have a coin that was 51% attacked because that hurts the reputation. Then I'm sure there's another exchange, or that volume will just move to another exchange. What do we got here? What is everyone drinking? Yeah, Marcy, let me know if you guys are drinking something good outside of coffee. Love myself some coffee, but got too jacked up on that today. Deadcoins.com is an interesting site for researching that kind of topic. Yep. Drinking Miller Lite. I've been on a Miller High Life kick recently. I know Miller High Life isn't exactly the pillar of good taste, but I could crush the Miller High Life any day of the week. Chainlink recently reached its all-time high in sats. Do you have an eye on it? So I actually tweeted about this. What do we have? Looks like maybe a pullback a little bit, but Chainlink pumped real hard, like crazy hard. And has done very well really over the past year. If you look back, let's see, kind of all-time high, and this is on Binance, but Chainlink performed very well against Bitcoin. And I tweeted about this. I got a lot of people that are like big Chainlink fans that were like mad at me, or like, bro, you've been sleeping on Chainlink? Why would you, like, I can't even trust your advice anymore if you're sleeping on Chainlink. How do you have 50,000 followers and you're sleeping on Chainlink? And that I say, I was sleeping on Chainlink. I don't know. What do you want from me? It's 1,000 freaking different cryptocurrencies. With that, I was fairly surprised by this. I'm not sure if this is just unnatural pumps, if this is, I know the concept of oracles, and like somebody said, I did make a video back in the day on Chainlink. I thought it was really interesting. I thought the concepts, and I do still think the concepts of oracles in, bro, you're sleeping on Chainlink. I fucking know. I do still think the concepts of oracles for specifically Ethereum and for a lot of these other blockchains is really interesting. I thought the Chainlink team was fairly impressive back then. I haven't done a ton of research on them recently, but most ERC20s, if not all ERC20s for the most part, probably 90% of them have gotten absolutely wrecked on a Bitcoin trade pair and on an Ethereum trade pair. Most ICO ERC20 tokens are not performing well. So to see Chainlink doing very well is somewhat fascinating to me. So if there's, if there's a little bit of it's just a kind of a different scenario. I feel like it's very much counter-cyclical to what the rest of the market is doing. So if you've had Chainlink, I mean, it's a pretty damn impressive move. I don't want to tell you to sell or anything like that, but when something goes up, much is it up since bottomed out in mid-July? It's up 300%, was up to 381. Well, it's always your choice. Are you still in your mom's basement? Ma, the meatloaf! No, I'm not. Yeah, surprisingly, I'm not in my mom's basement. What happened, Bobby? Slick back and clean shaven to this bear market? Well, I used to work at a Fortune 500 company, and now I work in the crypto space. So, hey, why do I have to be clean shaven? Degen, there are kids here, bro. There are kids here. Thoughts on Raven? I've talked a little bit about Raven in the past. I've seen some people. Raven pumped so hard when it got listed on Binance. Jesus Christ, that's so crazy. Like what happened when that's also pretty interesting too, because there's a massive, you had 100% plus profit easy if you held on when it got listed to Binance. Like most coins recently have not done that, especially that was in October, really the heart of the bear market, and it's down 60% since it's kind of a peak candle close on Binance against Bitcoin. It's had a nice sideways movement recently, but I am not a massive like Raven fan at this point in time. I do think, in my opinion, the majority of security token, if Raven is a play for assets or security tokens, I do think that the majority of security token infrastructure is being built on Ethereum and potentially Stellar. I don't necessarily know how that might impact either the price of Ethereum or the price of ETH or XLM. But in my opinion, a lot of the security token infrastructure, like I said, is being built on Ethereum. The vast majority, probably 75+%. And then Stellar is also another commonly looked at one because of a lot of the built-in transfer restrictions and other components that are in out of the box in comparison to what Ethereum does. So I do think that if you're looking at Raven as like the security token play, that's more of I think like a community driven marketing thing than it is, in my opinion, like actuality. If I had only been a TRX holder, then I could have finally shaved. Yep. Justin's son could have taken me to the promised lands of Norelco and Gillette Fusion, but thus my shitty morals and refusal to buy Tron at the time. Now, what do you think about TenX and the Hollywood video from Julian Hosp? So I saw that recently. TenX, what do we have? Pay token. This shit was when TenX went. Woof. So this is interesting too, because we have TenX Bittrex. How's it look on Is it on Binance? Did they delist it from Binance? Is it never on Binance? But so here we go. Julian Hosp was I believe the CEO of TenX of Pay. TenX had a huge ICO back during like the really peak of ICOs. I remember I tried to get in on the TenX ICO and my transaction wouldn't go through, and I was super pissed because my buddy's transaction went through. We were literally sitting next to each other. Or I was actually at home on my laptop, supposed to be working. Shocker, I wasn't. It was the heart of the bull run. Don't tell Oracle that. I was supposed to be working, and I like blocked off some time on my calendar and was sitting there trying to get my money into the ICO. I had my Parity wallet open, was sending stuff, trying to adjust the gas prices. My buddy I think he put his gas price above the limit, what it was supposed to be, and there really wasn't a limit, so his transaction went through. Mine did not, and it was like 3 or 5x of like, I forget what it was. It was on, it was like the second that 10x sold out in like less than 30 minutes, and then it was on exchanges like a few days later, if that. And then after it was on exchanges, it ran up so fucking hard, and I was so pissed off. But yeah, so Julian Hosp is the CEO, kind of like the spokesperson guy. Went to all the conferences. Bubby, I worked at NetSuite, buddy. That's how I worked at Oracle. I worked at NetSuite. We got acquired. So shout out, what's up, Bubby? But Julian Hosp was the CEO. He was like the face of the company, and there was something like a month, 2 months ago, where I think he basically was like one of the top salesmen for this Lion S, which I don't know too much about it, but from what I understand, it's basically a multi-level marketing. It's the Avon or the Herbalife or whatever, but he was like one of the top promoters of this multi-level marketing company, and people found out about it and went public with it, and that was about a month and a half ago. And then he stepped down as CEO. One might speculate he was pushed out, whatever it might be. But apparently, the Reddit sleuths, shout out to the Reddit sleuths. I can't even say that name right, but apparently this is Julian Hosp selling I think it was about 2 million pay tokens, which is at the current time about $400,000. I think it might have been closer to $700,000 or $800,000 at the time of selling this. But this massive red candle apparently was Julian Hosp maybe market dumping that on Bittrex. So there is some controversy around that. I'm sure this is not the last time we'll hear about this. TenX is also interesting too, because they raised $80 million. And there are, like, let's be honest, there are a lot of tokens or utility token projects out there that either have not performed well against their ICO investment price. Maybe you could have gotten out in profit at one point in time or another, but they've either not performed well, whatever it might be, but they've delivered a good product. Or they've delivered a working product that you can at least use, and consumers can, they can at least use and play around with. In this case, you have TenX, which was supposed to be these crypto credit cards that you could use. There's been all types of issues. I think they had a Visa partner that rescinded their license or their ability to utilize it. So they still haven't put forth the credit cards after over a year, really at this point in time, a year and a half. After raising $80 million, which is now like kind of somewhat of a poster child of not delivering in the ICO timeframe. And it also goes to show a little bit of the perverse incentives around initial coin offerings, because you give all this money up front, and then after that, what's the incentive to actually deliver on a product? There really isn't a lot of incentive to do so, perhaps. So there's really perverse incentives there. And that's something that I think 10x is a fairly indicative of. Chad Deal, do not tell me the Jets hired Adam Gase. Please don't tell me the Jets hired Adam Gase. Tell me that's a joke. I actually have to go on Twitter now just to make sure that this is not true. Please tell me that's not true. Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. No, fuck. You're lying. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Don't do it to me. This is how you know what I think is important. I haven't done a ton of research on Nano lawsuit recently, as far as like the Nano. It's against the Nano development team, isn't it? I haven't done a ton of research on that. I like read a little bit initially. I feel like I read a few pages out of the lawsuit, but I have not gotten it at this point in time. So definitely let me. I'll have to kind of look into it. My initial thought process on it was, though, without having full details on it, is that it was kind of an overreach, and I wasn't a big fan of it, like suing somewhat of open source developers. But I am, I'm not educated enough to really talk about it. Fuck me. I hate the Jets so much. I hate the Jets. God damn it. Thanks for ruining my day, Chad. Thanks, Chad. You're real Chad, bud. Hold on. I need a moment to process this. This is you're seeing dissatisfaction in real time. You guys should see me at Jets games. It's not fun. It's not fun. Yes, it's bad. Adam Gase sucks. Adam Gase sucks. Adam Gase sucks. Couldn't win with the fucking Dolphins. I can win with the Jets. Fuck me. Sorry. All right, back to crypto. We're losing people. God. Okay. Okay. All right. My mind's in a tizzy right now. Fuck. All right. All right. Questions on crypto before I cry, please. Rich Holtzman, did I have a better something? No, just my happiness. My eternal happiness, which is unfortunately tied to the New York Jets and not fun. But do you think OKX adding ETC shorts played into the 51% attack happening right afterwards? Does the chain die if they continue to attack it? So we had this conversation a little bit previously. I do think that it is quite suspicious that it's quite suspicious that ETC shorts were added on OKX and the chain was attacked a few days afterwards. There is, in my opinion, a decent likelihood that somebody saw that as an opportunity to buy some level of shorts there. I don't know internally with OKX. If you were to do that, most likely you'd have to be, I'm assuming, KYC'd at OKX, and depending upon the size of your short, depending upon the size of the market, as well as any connection that you might have to the 51% attackers, that could be a pretty complicated thing. But the incentives there seem to align, and that's one of the things that I think is interesting when it does come down to the market in general, is that especially the likelihood of 51% attacks, or just being able to have two-sided price discovery on a lot of these assets. When you open up the markets to short these assets, you find a lot more real-time price discovery. So it's something that I'll be definitely keeping an eye on here, is if more short opportunities do open up on lower hash rate proof of work coins, is that something that we continue to see more often? So taking a look here, the LA Chargers will win one for the Jets. I'm rooting hard for the Chargers this weekend. I'll probably put some money on them just to hopefully get out of my awfulness. Adam Gase is the equivalent to an NFL head coach shitcoin. Jerome Coaster, the rest of the world doesn't care much about the New York Jets or American sports in general. Well, I fucking do, bro. I do. And that's what matters. Sorry about that. I know you guys don't care, but I care. And my heart is broken right now. Going into thoughts on the ETH fork and how it will affect the market. So the ETH fork is, I think the testnet was actually migrated over recently. What do you got? Ethereum Constantinople. I think the testnet migration happened. Researcher couldn't come at a worse time. Who knows? Yeah. So the Rinkeby testnet fork happened successfully, according to a core developer. It is not necessarily. At this point in time, I'm still rather bullish on Ethereum. For the time being, I do think that I'm not going to say we're going to see an alt season or any bullshit like that, because that's ludicrous. But you are starting to see that if and this is a big if Bitcoin can hold this level around, let's say $4,000 or $3,800, whatever it might be, $3,800 to $4,000. If Bitcoin can stay in this $3,800 to $4,000 range, I do think there might be some interesting opportunities on Ethereum as well as on other tokens too, or on other cryptocurrencies. So that's kind of been my. I mean, you've seen it with Tron, you've seen it with a couple other assets out there. Granted, I think Tron's probably fairly artificial. Also, the conference run up and some things like that. But I do think that if Bitcoin can stay steady for a little bit of time, you'll have some opportunities to make plays on some of the altcoins. Now, if Bitcoin goes down, you're going to. I don't think any cryptocurrencies are strong enough to really run inverse to Bitcoin. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think if you see Bitcoin drop below $3,500 back down to that $3,200 mark, that you'll start seeing any other cryptocurrencies or crypto assets really maintaining USD value or going up in USD value. I do think that Bitcoin at the very least needs to stay steady for anything else to happen positively. Matthew, is Ether wallet even ever risky? I use a Ledger. I like Ledger. Expat Ron, unnecessary swearing, constant alcoholism. Content has gone down the drain and no one cares about the Jets. I'm out. I love you, Expat Ron, but are you new here, bro? It's literally called Crypto Happy Hour. I think I can have one beer without the alcoholism claims, sir. That's kind of mean, actually. Insinuating I'm an alcoholic because I literally have one beer. I'm heartbroken. I'm really, really sad. I'm sad. So going back here, Superman, how do how do investors make money on security token offerings? That's a good question. I'm sure some of you guys have seen a lot of the hype around security tokens. A lot of what will happen with security tokens depends upon your jurisdiction, because security tokens are really just security offerings wrapped digitally with a token. They're not any different. It's not a new revelation. It's not a new investment. All it really is you're wrapping an existing offering into in representing that ownership with either some type of ERC20 token or perhaps a Stellar token or maybe a Raven coin, whatever it might be. You're wrapping that token in. You're wrapping that token within, or you're wrapping that asset into a token. Now, with the issuance of that asset, a lot of it does come down to the regulations you issue that asset under. In the largest cases in the United States right now, most of these offerings are Reg D offerings, which are limited to accredited investors. Now, if you are not in the US, shocker, I know people aren't in the US and people don't like the Jets, so I've heard that 7,000 times. There are Reg S offerings. Usually most of these offerings are combination Reg D, Reg S, and the Reg S offerings allow for international investors. And typically there depends upon the jurisdiction in which you are at, but they might not be locked up to accredited investors, and it might open up the opportunity to invest into newer, more exciting assets for a lot of people internationally. Unfortunately, for the time being, because of the accreditation laws and the existing the existing infrastructure, most of the security token offerings are going to be limited to the people that already had access to them in the first place. So they're not a tremendously beneficial event in terms of democratizing finance at this point in time, but hopefully it will be an impetus for us to continue to push that ball forward. What do we got here? Have I pre-ordered the Nano X yet? I have not pre-ordered the Nano X. I'm probably, to be honest, I'm probably not gonna get the Nano X. I'm happy with the Nano S. It looks cool, so maybe I'll just order it for shits and giggles. It probably wouldn't hurt to have, but I don't necessarily, like the need for what the Nano S provides isn't necessarily anything that, for me, like the larger screen looks nice. The ability to have 100 assets I think you can have on there it's much better. But I don't really need the mobile app. I kind of like using it with the desktop. For me, like anything I use with the Nano S, it's more of a medium to long term type of trade or just holding. So I don't really need the short term type of quick Bluetooth type of functionality. I've seen some people complain a little bit, maybe like, hey, is Bluetooth open up security flaws? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm not a security researcher, I don't know, but something to consider. Rich Kotite, don't do that to me, buddy. So taking a look at some of these questions. Shugyosha, finally out of debt and before 30. Congratulations. Being in debt's never fun. Want to learn about crypto trading on short to medium term ranges with money. I'm willing to lose to learn. Any suggested reads? Unfortunately, losing is definitely one of the most valuable lessons, in my opinion, when it does come down to cryptocurrencies and crypto trading. Experience is one of the best things that you can really possibly do when it comes to crypto. It depends upon your style and like what you find most interesting and what you feel like you might be best at. You know, there's certain people that are excellent at fundamental research, where, you know, it might be somebody 3 weeks ago that knew, hey, Tron has this conference that's coming up and there's going to be a bunch of things hyped around it, yada yada yada. I don't care what the chart looks like, but hey, this conference coming up. Usually things pump into conferences. I'm going to buy some Tron. Other people might look at the chart and see certain aspects within the chart that they might really like, certain order book distribution, things of that nature. There are a lot of different aspects. I think you really want to determine what is going to work best for you in the long run. And depending upon that, whether you're like trying to be a technical analyst, fundamental, try to take into account a little bit of everything, or just try to do dollar cost averaging. I don't really know what style works best for you and what you'd like to do. But trading these markets is not easy by any stretch. So I'll just say that. Do you need a special beard gene in your DNA to grow a red beard? No, it's just being a ginger, apparently. Apparently I'm a ginger, so it's life, man. What happened to David Hay? I haven't seen David in a while. Hope he's still doing well. One of the nicer dudes in the industry, to be honest with you. Really enjoyed I've hung out with David Hay on multiple occasions. One of the better dudes in the industry, so hope he's doing well. So taking a look, somebody mentioned if you're looking into technical analysis, one of the best places to start, honestly, in my opinion, is Crypto Cred. Has a YouTube channel that has Crypto Cred. I've had him on the channel twice. One of the nicest dudes in the space, also one of the most informative with free info out there. So let's see if I can just pull it up. Here, I'll put a link into it. So Crypto Cred's YouTube channel, I think the last thing he did was a couple months ago, but he did this whole technical analysis series. It's 8 videos. They're all pretty long. So link I just put into the comments. I would definitely recommend checking that out if you'd like to just learn a little bit more about technical analysis, just at a high level. You don't have to be a true technical analyst. I think a lot of people think they are, and they're not. But it's definitely helpful to have an understanding of kind of the baseline, and I think Cred provides that. Also, definitely give him a follow on Twitter as well. Like I said, he is one of the most forthcoming people in the industry with free information, and I think that, you know, it's high quality. The shit he drops is probably a lot better than what most people charge for in these like paid groups and stuff like that. So I would definitely check him out. My TA is buy and pray. Ain't it all, bro? Ain't it all? So taking a look at some of these questions, and I've been ranting a little bit. So what Bitcoin did is good. Lop.net has a good resources tool as well. So yeah, for sure. How about them Casa Node Lightning channels? Actually, let me pull mine up now. Let's see. I haven't opened it in a minute. Trying to pull it up on the other screen. I need to do it later. I haven't checked it in the past minute or so, but the Casa node is pretty cool. I think also, if you're interested, if you're a little bit more technical in nature, you got your shit. You're a little bit more technical in nature. Pierre Rochard is one of the more up-to-date guys on the kind of Lightning network, and he has put together this guide to get started setting up your own Lightning network node, testnet, mainnet, both for Mac or Windows desktop, laptop. And he also literally gives you his Twitter and email if you get stuck or want to help. So he's done some cool stuff with Lightning. So I would recommend, if you are if you want to. So there's kind of two components. You're probably not going to make much of any money, maybe a few sats here or there on running fees through your Lightning network, your Lightning channels. But if you want to spend $300 on the Casa node, you're cool spending a couple $100 to get that set up. It's literally the easiest thing to ever set up. You can do that. Alternatively, if you want to run a Lightning node, which takes a little bit more work, you kind of have to go through this process here. Might take a little bit more time, but you don't have to spend $300. You can also do that. So I'd recommend checking both. And that's also something too. I know there's a lot of people recently are down on Lightning, or saying a bunch of, there's like Lightning Network FUD, a lot of different things. I'm not saying Lightning Network's going to solve world hunger. I think it's an interesting experiment to see what might be built on top of Bitcoin. And so this is one way for you to test it out, to try it out if you're so inclined to do so. Yeah, the Casa node, Jay Loiter, the Casa node community, they have a Telegram group for the people that purchased it. Like when you buy the node, you get an email, and it's like, hey, join this Telegram group that for support and stuff. And literally the CEO of Casa and the CTO are in there, like literally helping out. Like all the people, there's only like 300 or 400 people right now that have Casa nodes. Setup is not very hard, but there's some like small, minute things and some maybe glitches or bugs here and there. I didn't really experience any, but for the people that have, the CEO and the CTO are in there like helping out, so it's pretty cool. Stefan Mendoza is Spaces open source. AirSwap Space is open source, was looking to maybe contribute, but didn't see it on GitHub. Send me an email if you wouldn't mind. Send me an email. I just put it in there. It's rob@cryptobobby.com, Stefan. And yeah, we can definitely, I'll send over the info that you need. If there's any type of contributions or anything like that, that'd be pretty sweet. Love to have you contribute. So somebody's talking about GitHub. What do we got here? I think OnChainFX does this as well. Let's see, commits in the last year. Somebody's saying INS actually. Oh, Tron was some big commits. Where's Cardano? Yeah, I don't know if that's stars or watchers or whatever. Commits in the past 90 days. Maybe. Here we go. Let's see. Somebody's talking about GitHub. Hey, commits in the last 90 days, 0x, INS, Holochain. I don't know if that's always the best indicator. Rchain is... I got wrecked so fucking hard on Rchain, excuse my French. Got wrecked real hard on Rchain. It's only up 8% from the lows. A lot of these... This is also interesting as well. So here, we'll pull this out. Let's see here, cycle low. So OnChainFX, I haven't gotten a full chance to look into this new addition that they have. But if you guys haven't checked this out, I don't have any affiliation with these guys. Yeah, bullshit indicator. I agree with you, Stefan. I definitely agree with you. And it also doesn't, there might be certain kind of components of GitHub that aren't tracked or whatever it might be. But this is a cool indicator recently that I think OnChainFX just put this in today or yesterday. So I haven't gotten a chance to go through it. But they put in a cycle low, the time since the low, and the percentage up since the low, which is kind of cool. So you have some of these assets here. 4 years ago is not incredibly helpful, but like in this case, Waves had a cycle low of, rather than looking at the all-time high, this is kind of interesting because you look at these all-time highs, you look at percentage down from all-time high, and in this case, Waves is down 84% from the all-time high. I have no investment in Waves, don't care about Waves, whatever, but Waves is down 84% since the all-time high, but depending upon where you bought in, like there are probably fairly few people that hopefully bought in at the all-time high. What happens if you were to buy in at the recent low or around the recent low? Well, it's rallied 222% in the past 2 months. So these are some interesting data points that I haven't gotten a full chance to play around with this again. I think I saw Masari tweet about this yesterday or 2 days ago or today, whenever it was. But, and to that point again, somebody was talking about Chainlink beforehand. Chainlink had a recent low 6 months ago and is now up 140% since that. So some new interesting data points that I like being added by Masari for sure. As at this point in time, it's been close to an hour. I'm probably going to go cry myself to bed and drink the rest of this beer because I actually didn't even finish a full pint beer. But shout out to the guy who called me an alcoholic because I cried that the Jets hired the worst head coach in their entire coaching search. But I'm going to go cry, drink the rest of this beer. I appreciate everybody taking the time to join this evening for Crypto Happy Hour. It was awesome until I heard that the Jets hired Adam Gase. So excuse me and while I jump out the window. Hope you guys are all having a good one. Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate everybody. Peace.